Hello everybody from Aberdeen, Scotland, and my hotel room, which is right next to the harbour. Really handy actually, because later on today I'm going to be taking the Northlink ferry all the way up to Lerwick on Shetland. A trip I haven't done for a number of years, and I remember last time it was really stormy. I don't think it's going to be like that tonight, so I'm hoping for quite a calm crossing. Crossing time actually is about 14.5 hours, departing at 5 o'clock this afternoon, arriving into Lerwick at 07:30 tomorrow morning. Now, I've got a premier cabin apparently, so that sounds quite nice, doesn't it? We'll have to find out what it's like when we get on board. And we've also got access to the Magnus Lounge, so no expense spared for you guys today. What's it like? There's only one way to find out, isn't there? Come with me. I'm going to see you down at the terminal building in a couple of hours' time. If you've seen any of my videos before, you'll probably know that I tend to focus on the details of the trip rather than a kind of watch me going somewhere type of video, and this is so that you can make an informed decision on whether you'd like to try out the journey yourself. And as you can see, the Northlink ferry terminal is clearly signposted, and it's about half a mile walk from the railway station if you intended to take this ferry as a foot passenger. Check-in was nice and straightforward, plenty of friendly staff behind the counters. We were given our boarding cards and drinks vouchers for the Magnus Lounge, and we were told to take a seat in the departure lounge. The boarding would commence at 3 PM and there were around 30 foot passengers and 2 dogs waiting to embark. There are a couple of vendor machines here for drinks and snacks, along with toilets, a free water dispenser and adequate seating for the amount of people gathered here today. And at exactly 3 PM we were called through. Large luggage can be checked in by the door on the left here if you want. Otherwise, everything else can be taken on board, and it was good to see that a proper passenger gangway was available for use. A couple of Northlink staff were at the entrance to greet us, and after that, first thing we did was head to the cabin to drop off our bags. Right guys, so we've just arrived onto the Northlink ferry, cabin 440, an outside premium cabin. And do you know what? I'm excited for this trip. I'm travelling with Jo, and I think she's more excited than I am. She's just gone off for a wander around, which has given me the opportunity to talk to you about slow travel. Now, you may have noticed that I've been taking quite a lot of ferry journeys recently, and do you know what? They really are, in my opinion, the best form of slow travel. And over the last few years, there have been plenty of occasions where I think I've just been travelling too fast. I'm just getting totally exhausted. And I'm just simply making the wrong decisions from time to time. Now, from the start of this year, I have made a conscious effort to just slow things down a little bit, assess exactly where I am in life. And that doesn't mean I've become an entirely different person or I've just discarded the way I've done things in the past. It just means that I'm making small incremental adjustments which are enabling me to make better decisions. But you know, I haven't done this alone. Therapy works in exactly the same way, by creating consistent habits that grow over time. And this is why I'm really pleased to introduce BetterHelp as the paid partnership for this video. And being able to talk things through with a credentialed therapist who will listen and ask meaningful questions, well, it really has started to give me a fresh perspective on life. It's not a quick fix, but on this journey I'm beginning to understand myself better and improve support for my well-being. And I'm asking myself probably the most important question of all: am I doing the right thing for me? And you can do the same too. All you need to do to get started is fill out a questionnaire, and you're matched with a credentialed therapist in as little as a couple of days. And if they're not the right fit for you, well, you can switch at any time. No extra cost, no questions asked. It is that simple. Over 6 million people have received help from BetterHelp so far, and you can join them by following the link on the screen now at betterhelp.com/let's make a trip, or clicking on the link in the description below, and you can enjoy 10% off your first month of therapy. Right, let's have a little bit more of slow travel. I want to go and see what's happening outside. Well, the sun was out in Aberdeen, yeah I know, and that is a great start, isn't it? Up here on the top deck there was plenty of room to walk around and some fixed seating available. The all-round views were very welcome this afternoon, and there were some fantastic ships in port, like Caledonian McBrain's MV Hjaltland up here for maintenance, and of course plenty of support ships for the offshore oil and gas fields out in the North Sea. And yeah, after we'd got our bearings a bit, well, I headed back down to the cabin to have a little look around before our departure. Right guys, so before we leave Aberdeen this afternoon, then I think it's a good time to have a little look around the cabin. If I just turn the camera around slowly, you will see it's a 2-berth outside, as I may have mentioned earlier on. And yeah, they're not bunks, and which is nice. And this is a good touch, isn't it? This tartan blanket. on both beds. I'm not sure if we're going to need it tonight, but well, I guess we'll see. It's fairly warm in here, to be honest. Now we've got individual reading lights on either side, and a control here, which I think is probably a volume control for any announcements, because above our head there we have the control for the air conditioning heater, if you like, and in the corner of a television. Now there's a notice here with regards to pet friendly cabins. This isn't one, because you will note that the floor has carpet. The pet friendly ones have like a vinyl floor. Moving on to the mirror here, and yeah, this is nice, isn't it? We've got cups, hot chocolate, tea, coffee, biscuits. Does anybody know what these are? And it says, what does it say? Brownie, truffle and mint, crunch. Well, okay, Peary nips. I couldn't possibly comment. It feels warm enough to me in here. But anyway, there's some water and a kettle and a phone, which I guess, yeah, you dial 0, dial M for murder, dial 0 for reception. Some other stuff on board, about stuff on board there. Towards the door, coat hangers, some spare towels by the looks of it. Now, I haven't been in the bathroom yet. Ah, there's the thermostat. Okay. Well, let's not think about that tonight. Right. The bathroom is fairly ferry standard. Fairly ferry standard. I think that's a good term for it. It's got everything you need, and it's clean. Yeah, the usual kind of curtain thing. A hairdryer actually, which is nice to see. No, not sure how effective they are, but there's some liquid soap and the bin and all that. You don't need to see all that. But yeah, it all looks good and it all looks clean. And as I said before, the temperature's absolutely fine at the moment, and I'm sure it will remain so. But if I need to adjust it, it's that and not that. Right, now I'd better go out inside and find Jo. She's wandering about the ship somewhere still. So yeah, let's head on out and see what we can see. Well, we were getting ready to leave. At the stern, the ramp was being lifted from the link span, and oh, here she is, wandering up the stairs and looking very excited. Is she going to stop for a quick chat? No, straight on past and up to the top deck. Fair enough. I went the opposite way, back down to the viewing deck on deck 6 to watch the crew taking the lines in, and we slowly began to move away from the dockside. Well, I got the impression that there was absolutely no rush on this ferry, and rightly so. It's the slow travel thing again, isn't it? Giving us time to appreciate views with the Aberdeen skyline, providing a wonderful backdrop for the ships in port here. And to our starboard side, even more support ships, and I think they're fascinating really, especially the bow shapes, which I guess they're specially designed for operating in extreme weather conditions. I know one or two of you who regularly watch my videos have quite a lot of offshore experience, so yeah, I'd be interested to read your comments. In my opinion, they look really interesting. I'd love to take a trip on one. And as we made our way towards the Marine Operations Centre Tower, we passed the picturesque Futdi, the mid-19th century fishing village, right at the harbour entrance. The village, it comprises of a mixture of orderly terraced cottages and fairly ramshackle outbuildings. It's set around 2 squares north and south, and it's a quirky, eccentric but vibrant place. We'd been there earlier in the day, and I promise you it is well worth a look around. Now we passed the old South Breakwater and the new South Breakwater on our starboard side, with its prominent lighthouse built in 1866. And then we're out into open seas, and at this point there were a lot of people outside on deck. Main reason, dolphins. You can just about make them out to the right of the wake here, and of course everybody enjoyed watching them play. Well, I stayed out on deck for quite a while, making the most of the good weather. We were travelling on Northlink Ferries MV Hjaltland tonight, which, along with her sister ship, the MV Rosse, they plied this route up to Shetland and the Orkneys all year round. Well, enjoy the views with me. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the history of the ship and her specifications. Right guys, so up here on the top deck of Northlink Ferries MV Hjaltland, and what a beautiful sunset we have for you this evening. We left about a quarter of an hour early actually out of Aberdeen, but we are certainly on time for an 07:30 arrival into Lerwick, and on the way, incidentally, we will be stopping at Kirkwall on the Orkney Islands. So that will be about 11 o'clock tonight, 2300 hours. But I am absolutely starving, so we're going to head back into the Magnus Lounge. That's the one. And believe we can order from our table and get the food in there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the prices don't look too bad either. So come with me. I'll see you back down on the Deck 6 Magnus Lounge. If, like us, you've splashed out on a premium or executive cabin, you get complimentary access to the Magnus Lounge here. Otherwise, it was £20 per person at the time of this video. And for that, you get unlimited tea and coffee, soft drinks, fruit, a small amount of biscuits, and an odd Scottish thing called tablet, apparently. There's some magazines to read, and the lounge itself contains comfortable seating arranged around tables. It was really busy during this crossing, so I would advise booking online in advance. Well, we ended up in a corner, which was fine really, from where we were able to order and pay for our food from the menu here, after which it's brought to your table. Right guys, so in the Magnus Lounge, and yeah, we're going to get stuck into some dinner, and I have gone for the haddock and chips tonight with some peas. No tartar sauce, maybe there were some tartar sauce sachets in there, we'll have a look in a minute. And Joanne has gone for the vegetarian lasagna. So we're going to get stuck into these and give him a verdict, our verdict I should say, when we've finished. Right guys, so yeah, that was tasty enough, filled me up anyway, and yeah, 2 empty plates apart from the peas, and bonus, I did actually manage to find the tartar sauce, which was good, wasn't it? So yeah, and price wise, well, that was pretty good as well. Paid £12.99 for mine, haddock and chips and peas, and Joe's was £10.89 for the vegetarian lasagna. So I think all in all, I think that's pretty good, and probably all we need for tonight. Yeah, probably all we need for tonight. So time to explore a little bit more of the ship. To help you find your way around, there are a couple of deck plans located near to the main stairs, and it is at the bottom of these stairs that we find the impressive art installation depicting the Norse heritage of the islands. And opposite this is the large guest services reception area, where the helpful staff will deal with your queries and sell you additional services. Behind the desk is a fantastic scale model of the Hjaltland, though it would have been good if they'd put this in the lobby area somewhere so that everybody could get a better look at it. The rest of Deck 5, it's made up of cabins fore and aft of this area, including 4 accessible cabins and 9 designated pet cabins. I went back up one of the staircases at the stern, which brought me out in the Feast self-service restaurant on Deck 6. This is a large area at the rear of the ship, quite busy at the start of the crossing, but by the time I was filming this, it had quietened down quite a bit. As I said before, prices were very reasonable in my opinion, and there was plenty of choice on offer. There is a digital menu displayed at the entrance so that you know what you're going to get and how much it all costs. Moving forward from the restaurant is a small kids' playroom, the Viking's Den. Now, I waited until the end of the night to film this bit for obvious reasons, and for most of the evening it did seem to be occupied by loads of bored teenagers in the soft play area. But after that, it's the Midships Bar, and this is where you can use your free drinks vouchers from the Magnus Lounge. Otherwise, again, prices were quite reasonable. £4.45 for a pint of lager, if you like that sort of thing, and less than £5 for a medium glass of wine. That is not bad at all, is it really? And then next we have the shop, quite a small space this. You're not going to find your usual selection of big brand cosmetics or alcohol, but you will find stock that is more relevant to our destinations. So for example, you'll get Highland Park whiskey from Orkney of course, and lots of area specific books and local produce, and some Northlink merch.
I bought a Ferry postcard from the shop and moved on up the corridor on the port side, where I found 2 of the 3 pod lounges and some of the reclining seats that Northlink sell for £3.50 per crossing. In the same area are some retro video games like Pac-Man, and some of these machines were out of order, but they were all free to play, and I can report that after 40 odd years I am still as useless at Pac-Man as I always was. But then we're into the Longship Lounge and Bar. This area would ordinarily overlook the bow, but window blinds were drawn with this being a night crossing. The area consisted of airline style seating in the wings and table bench seating everywhere else. The bar was closed here, but that was probably a positive, in so much as most people were crouched out on the seats trying to get some sleep. Off the lounge to the port side and divided by a curtain was the small cinema and more numbered recliners. Showing tonight was Zootropolis 2 and Rental Families, whatever that is. Admission was adult £5.50, child £3.50, or family of 4 £14. I didn't gate crash this area as there were people inside, and also of course I hadn't actually paid to get in. And around the other side of the bar was the other pod lounge, along with some unisex showers. And all the pod lounges are card access only, so I couldn't get in, but yeah, if you want to try them out on a crossing, well, at the time of this video you're looking at £18 per pod. And I went back to the Magnus Lounge for a bit, which was looking very quiet now as we neared our first port of call, Kirkwall. And I thought I'd go outside and watch us arrive from the top deck, but unfortunately, when I got to the stairs I'd used earlier, they'd been closed off. Now, I've no idea why, and it wasn't a rough crossing by any means, so I'd be surprised if it was for safety reasons. If you've got any ideas, please let me know in the comments below. But as it was, anyone who did venture outside now was confined to the small viewing deck at the stern of the ship on deck 6, which also doubled as the smoking and vaping area. Well, that's not ideal, is it? Especially if you don't smoke. We reversed into Kirkwall and came alongside a little bit earlier than our scheduled arrival time of 2300 hours. Not a lot to see at this time of night, to be honest, and I think a lot of the people that were going on to Lerwick had probably decided to head back to their cabins, pods or seats.
Right then guys, well, it has just gone 10 to 11 and we have arrived into Kirkwall on Orkney, and it is time for some of the passengers and vehicles to disembark, and it's also time for me to head back to the cabin, I think, and try and get some sleep. We're due into Lerwick at 7:30 in the morning, so yeah, it should be able to get a decent amount of sleep, I think. The cabin looks really nice and cosy, doesn't it? So I'm going to do that now, and I will catch you in the morning when we shall be having a look at the breakfast options in the Magnus Lounge. I'll see you then.
Well, I had a pretty good night's sleep really. The sailing was quite calm all the way, so that obviously helped, and of course a flat bed is going to be much better than the pods, which I believe are more upright in their design. Interestingly though, one of the crew told me earlier on that at least one of the pod lounges was being fitted out with flat beds, and this was supposed to be done in Liverpool this year, but bad weather led to the Hjaltland being stuck outside port for 5 days and they simply ran out of time. They may already be in place on the other ferry though, the Rosset, so let me know if you've tried the new ones or if you've tried the pods in their current form. I'd be interested to know what you think.
Good morning. From Lerwick, Shetland, we are going to be pretty much on time. Yeah, quite usefully actually. We can go and have breakfast, which I will be doing in a minute, and that stays open until at least 8 o'clock. And I think you can actually stay on board the ferry until 8:30, which is really handy, isn't it now? Because we haven't got to rush off to be anywhere. We can't even check in to our accommodation until 12, which in itself is pretty good. So yeah, that's really handy, so absolutely no rush. So we're going to head down for some breakfast in a minute. We'll see what that's like, and then yeah, it'll soon be time to pack up and disembark. I'll catch you in a bit.
The sun was trying to make an appearance as I stood once more at the stern of the ship watching us coming into port. It would have been nice to have had a better view of our arrival, but the stairs to the top deck, well, they were still closed. I just don't understand this at all, but yeah, nothing I could do about it. I went back to the Magnus Lounge and tried out some breakfast.
Alright guys, so back down here in the Magnus Lounge, and we've got it all to ourselves actually. I think there have been other people in, but they probably finished their breakfast by now, and of course some people got off at Kirkwall last night. So yeah, it's continental style breakfast is free. If you want a full English or Scottish, then you have to pay a little bit extra for that, but they will bring it to you if that's what you want. But yeah, continental is absolutely fine for me. I'm going to get stuck in. I will report back when I've finished.
So one more empty plate later, well, you probably noticed that just before I went down for breakfast, well, we were only really a few minutes away from port, but I was not in any rush to leave the lounge, and here's why.
Right guys, well, polished that off quickly enough. It was really nice actually, a continental breakfast for me. That's all I need in the morning. I don't really eat a lot, and that'll keep me going out till lunchtime probably. And yeah, talking about going, well, I think we're going to have to disembark. Interestingly, actually, as I believe that vehicle drivers, they can take their cars off, then they can come back for breakfast if they want. So that's really good, isn't it? I guess turnaround times are quite long for this particular ferry, certainly at this time of the year anyway, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, so it's time to head back to the cabin in a minute, get our stuff together and head on off to the accommodation. We're going to be on Shetland for a few days, so I'm really looking forward to it. The weather's looking pretty good as well, isn't it? So I'll see you once we get off the ship.
Yeah, so basically, although arrival time for the ship is 07:30 in the morning, you've got until about 08:30 to disembark. They don't turf you out of the cabin to leave you hanging around the lobby area with all your stuff. It's a really good, stress-free start to the trip, isn't it? And as you can see, when we actually did disembark, it was via a gangway which took us straight into the terminal building. And price we paid for this one-way crossing was £194 between us. That includes the premium cabin, which gives you entrance to the Magnus Lounge, and 2 drinks vouchers each. And it's about a mile walk into Lerwick from the ferry terminal, and thankfully the weather was kind to us. Once we checked into our accommodation, well, I just took a couple of minutes to summarise the journey.
Right guys, Lerwick, our destination, having travelled up here on the overnight Northlink ferry all the way from Aberdeen. And what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, I thought it was pretty good overall, and it was reasonable value for money, bearing in mind that I certainly wasn't scrimping on this trip, so I wanted to check out the premium cabin, if you like, and that of course came with access to the Magnus Lounge. And with the Magnus Lounge you get your drinks vouchers, you get free tea, coffee, soft drinks, some limited snacks, and also, you know, if you want to eat your main meal in the evening and you don't want to go in the self-service restaurant, you can do it in there and they will bring it all to you. Obviously that comes at an extra cost, but let me know what you thought in the comments below. Have you travelled on this ship, on this service, or would you try it having watched this? I'd be really interested to read your comments as usual. And don't forget, guys, if you want to try out BetterHelp, then go to betterhelp.com/let's make a trip, or click on the link in the description below and you can get 10% off your first month of therapy. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm sure I'll catch you on another adventure soon. And until the next time, guys, as always, cheers for now.